Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about the top 3 things I would not do as a brand new medical coder or a newly certified medical coder. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys, this advice I'm giving you today is from a 15-year veteran coder. So I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt. Not only that, I was a new medical coder at one time. And I'm going to talk about what made me successful in that first year as well. But these are the top 3 things I would not do. All right. So the number one thing I would not do as a brand new medical coder is only apply for entry-level positions. They're everywhere as far as like medical coding positions. However, you will not see a lot of entry-level medical coding positions. And if you do, guarantee there's going to be about 1,000 people that are applying for that one position. Okay. And only because it says entry level. I'm here to tell you guys that even though an employer is asking for experience, it doesn't matter if you are a brand new medical coder. You are still supposed to apply anyway. And the reason that I say this is because if employers are looking for medical coders in an area where there's already happy coders who are experienced, those happy coders that are experienced are not going to go anywhere. But if the employer is so desperate that they really do need somebody, the people who are applying are the ones that are going to be looked at. If you're waiting and waiting and waiting for them to say entry level, you're going to be waiting for a long time. And if you do find some, again, you're going to be competing with a lot of other people who were looking for that same entry-level word. Every position that you can apply for as a medical coder, your certification says that you have the competency to be able to code that. It may not be something that you liked when you were in school. It may be not something that you are terribly familiar with to begin with. However, you do know how to look up the codes. You do know the guidelines and everything. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you do. So with this, you are able to apply for these positions. So again, even though they're asking for 3 to 5 years of experience, and even though it doesn't say entry level, you are still supposed to apply anyway. And please, people, make sure that your resume looks good, that it is no more than 2 pages. Please don't be like these people that I see on LinkedIn with their 3 or 4 or 5 page resumes, upset because they're not getting calls back. You're not getting calls back because your resume is not to the point. The max it should be is 2 pages. The max you should go back on your work history is 10 to 15 years. If you worked in the early 2000s, they don't need to know that. If you worked in the 1990s or the 1980s, they don't need to know that. They need to know the last 10 to 15 years, because when they run a background check on you, that's as far back as they're going to go. So that's all that needs to be on your resume. And again, all the things that I always say all the time, I do have plenty of videos about resumes, but I do say on there that in your skills list, you better not have organized, team player, punctual, timely, friendly. If I'm a hiring manager and I see any of those things, next, I would not call you back. Simply because the skills is your hard skills. ICD-10-CM, CPT, HCPCS. If you were trained in ICD-10 PCS, that's got to be on there too. Medical terminology, anatomy, pathophysiology. You see this in the job listings, guys. I don't care that you're punctual. I don't care that you're organized. Those are all soft skills. Your hard skills are the ones that need to be on your resume. So make sure that it looks good. You're not repeating yourself, all right? I see people again on LinkedIn with 300 skills on their list, and it should not even be that many. Okay, guys, it's all about conciseness. And that's what employers are looking for. Because again, if I'm a hiring manager and I see something that's all crazy and stuff, and I just fell asleep on the first page, you're not going to get a call back. So make sure that you do a really good job with your resume. There's a lot of really good resume books out there. Again, I have helpful videos about setting up your resume. If you want to get it rewritten with me, my rate and contact information is in the description box below. What makes me uniquely qualified to write resumes for medical coders is because I am a medical coder. I love what I do. I've been a medical coder for 15 years, and I know the words and the ways that these employers are looking at these resumes. I'm just saying. And my track record speaks for itself when you see all of the comments that I've gotten about my resume writing. So with that said, you want to make sure that you're not only applying for entry level. You apply for everything, okay? Apply for everything and continue to work through the workbooks so that way you can keep up on your skills. You know, this is why employers have a hard time trusting new medical coders, because a lot of medical coders go through these horrible, fast-paced medical coding programs that do not prepare medical coders for the real world. It just prepares them to take a test and pass a test. And, oh, yes, we got another statistic for our statistics that, oh, we have a 100% pass rate. Whenever I see that in a school, I know that's a lie. Not everybody's going to pass because there's going to be different factors on why some people fail. Okay, but whenever I see that, I don't believe that, okay? So that's just what I'm going to say right there. But employers want the coder to be well versed with the guidelines and have had practice. And even though your instructor may not be instructing you, it doesn't mean that you can't learn on your own. Again, the books that I recommend are in the description box below. I'm going to leave that right there. The next thing I would never do as a brand new medical coder is only apply for remote medical coding positions. Now, hear me out on this. Okay, I know some of you are already starting to hyperventilate. Let's just relax, okay? This is how medical coding gets sold to a lot of people. Oh, you can work remotely and you can stay at home. You can take care of your family and your kids and blah, 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 yada, 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 no traffic, this and that, whatever. Guys, what happens when you work remotely as a brand new medical coder? Because I'm not saying that it's not possible, okay? Let me be very clear on that, okay? So before you start typing your little comment or hitting that little thumbs down button, hear me out. When you work at home, the first thing out of the gate, you're going to be confused. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be brand new because you're going to find out really quickly that the book and real world coding are two completely different things. Meaning that in the book, they have all of the detail, everything that's there. Those don't need to be queried. You get in the real world, you have a doctor who's having a bad day. They're going to give you the bare minimum. And sometimes it's not even going to be enough to get a code. And so you're going to have to query. So there's going to be a lot of things that that's going to be new to you. The electronic medical record is another one, right? So this is why I say, if you are applying, don't only concentrate on applying for the remote positions, because it is getting harder for new people to get remote positions than it was at the beginning of the pandemic. So when the pandemic kicked off, right, before that, if you did not have experience, you were not going to get a call back. And it was very rare that anybody brand new with no experience got to work at home. Since the pandemic, there's been a change. Of course, obviously, people had to work at home. But now that we're somehow coming out of this time, they're wanting people to be back at the office. And for some places, they say, okay, this is a remote position, but you will have to come in for like 6 weeks of training or 2 months of training, and then we'll turn you loose home. If that's the case, that's okay. That's an okay position to get into because you're going to have that mentorship. You have to be around new medical coders when you first start because, again, you're going to be lost in the sauce. And there's nothing worse than starting something brand new and you're completely lost without support, okay? Without support. And that's horrible. And I think that when people get so fixated on this is what they want and this is what they think it is because this is why it was sold to them, and then you just end up setting yourselves up to fail. So you don't want to do that, guys. You want to make sure that the places that you're applying, they're going to give you that well-rounded experience. They're going to give you exposure to other medical coders and providers. This is very important in the development of medical coders, to be well-rounded and to not develop bad habits, because bad habits start on very early, okay? So if you are by yourself, you're going to be learning a lot of things by yourself. However, if you don't know how to properly do your research, I talk about research all the time, guys, and how to do it on my channel. But if you don't properly do your research, you could potentially be missing out on a lot of things in that note, a lot of things with the codes and a lot of the rules. So set yourselves up for success. Work at a place where you have to physically go so that you can get that exposure, take that time to learn, and then apply at home. Apply for the remote positions. It's not forever, guys. It's just in the beginning. And I just want to reiterate that because people tend to hyperventilate when I tell them new medical coders should not be working remotely. I believe that, okay? That's just my belief because, again, I have been around long enough to see it. And it doesn't matter how smart you think you are as far as like coming in with knowledge or whatever, it's going to be put to the test when you get into the real world. It's not all about the book, okay? And sometimes things can be wrong in the book too, all right? I've seen that. But with all that said, keep your options open and do not just focus on remote medical coding or a part-time work as a medical coder in the beginning. Because, you know, if a position is part-time, it is going to be 99.999%, which leaves that 0.1% chance that it's going to be for somebody brand new. The reason that employers don't want to hire brand new medical coders part-time is because if they need somebody part-time, they need somebody who can get down to business right away. It's not going to have questions, it's not going to be lost, it's going to be able to be dropped in, and they can just basically pick up and do whatever. With a brand new medical coder, that time, that part-time time, is going to be cut in about half because that's about as much productivity as they're going to be able to get out of that person in the beginning. So that's what not what employers want. So that's why I'm telling you guys, make sure that you are realistic with your job seeking expectations and make sure that you are going to set yourself up for success and apply for places where you have to physically go so that you're not going to spend all this time being lost, because just investing a small amount of time with other medical coders just to get you going and then getting your remote position later on, 8 months or a year later on, is great. Okay, so again, it's all meant to set you up for success. All right, so and the last thing that I would not do as a brand new medical coder is rack up a bunch of credentials. All you need, guys, is one. That's all you need to get you started. I see so many brand new medical coders being taken advantage of by the schools, by an instructor, by a program person who's selling a program, saying, oh, if you get a bunch of credentials, you're going to make so much more money than your counterparts who only have one credential. That's a big fat lie. And you know how I know that's a big fat lie? Because I myself began my career and had one certification for 13 years. One. And it was a CCA. With that CCA, I outpaced, salary-wise, degree holders, nurses, and coders who had experience with like multiple credentials. How did I outpace them? How did I end up making more? Because I knew more. This field is about how much knowledge you have, not about how many credentials can you get. It's not about that, guys. And again, so many people are being taken advantage of, and it upsets me because I do actually care. And for those of you who say, oh, well, no, I'm going to do it this way because I thought, okay, guys, again, then my channel's not for you. Because the reason that I'm telling you this is to make it easier on you. In the first year, if you want to take additional classes for billing or risk adjustment or whatever, it's fine. But you don't have to sit for the certification just to say that you have the knowledge. That can always be put onto your resume under your education. And again, you don't have to carry those because every single credential in medical coding that you get, you're going to have additional continuing education units. There was somebody a few months ago who wrote into my channel who said that he had his CPCA and then now he has a string of credentials. He's got 4 other ones, and he doesn't know how he's going to be able to keep up with these because he can't even get a job yet. and he's not been able to find a job successfully, even though he's got all of these credentials. He doesn't understand. And I asked him, why did you get so many? And he said that his instructor was the one who told him that he needed them to make more money. You're not even in the field yet, and you're already trying to make more money? No, sir. What you need to do is make sure that you're well-versed in medical terminology, and a lot of you will fight me on this. I will get emails from folks, well, why do I have to learn medical terminology when I could just look up the codes? If you don't understand what these words mean, it can be really confusing very fast. I was on Instagram, and of course I follow a lot of different medical channels on my Instagram, and of course different people, different professions. This one nurse got perineum and perineal confused. Now, if you're a medical coder, you know these are two different areas and two different things. So again, if you don't know your medical terminology, this is a problem, because somebody could see this word and instantly get confused if they don't know their medical terminology and end up with a wrong code. So this is why it is so important to make sure that you are educated. Make sure that you are taking the time to learn and not sit here and try to keep up with the Joneses and try to keep up with your peers. And, oh, this person has 6 credentials. Meanwhile, they still have a CCA, which means they have less than 2 years of experience. They have 6 credentials and I want to be just like them. Why do you want to be like them? Just because a person has multiple credentials does not equate to more knowledge. All that means is that they can pass a test. That's all that means. Okay? And I had the CCA for 13 years, guys. 13 years. And I would still have the CCA today. But I got some other things going on in the background. So I had to put it to bed. It was superseded by my CCSP when I got it. And then at the end of the year, I got the CCS. It's different for me, guys, because I have experience, which is why I have the 2 credentials, right? I am choosing to keep both of them. Could I let the CCSP lapse? Sure, because the CCS covers it already. It already says that I've mastered it. But I got that one first. That's the only reason why I'm going to keep it, okay? But that's, again, I have years of experience, so it's okay. But I'm talking to those who are brand new. Don't get yourself all worked up because you have to get all these CEUs and how am I going to get these and where can I find them? Because yes, while you can get some for free, it's not going to be enough to cover everything, okay? You may have to put out some money for those CEUs, those additional ones that you need. And meanwhile, when you could have just gotten the one and been okay. You don't need to compete with other medical coders. You're the one who has to answer for all the codes that you select. You're the one who has to answer for any questions that come up with your decision making when you're selecting codes and your knowledge and everything else. You're the only one who has to keep up with that, guys. You don't need to compete with other people because, again, people are competing with each other, and for what? You know what I'm saying? Oh, because I have all these credentials. Yeah, but it's not always going to equate, oh, yes, I'm making more money. Because if you look at the job listings, it clearly says candidate must have an AHIMA or AAPC credential. 1. That's all they want. I have yet to see a job listing that says candidate must have multiple credentials in order to get this job. And even if I did, I would really seriously be questioning that company, because really all you need is 1. It's not a requirement to have multiple credentials. All you need is 1 credential. And when I'm looking on the outside in, right, I want to be able to keep more of my money because a person who has 1 credential can make more or even the same as somebody who has multiple credentials, okay? And with the person with multiple credentials, they're going to have to put out even more money to be able to maintain all of those credentials. Now, I like to keep my money. I want to be wise with my money because I don't need to compete with anybody else. I don't need to compete with other medical coders. Never have, and I never will. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, but that is my show for today. Those are the top 3 things that I would not do. I would not only apply for entry-level positions. I would not only apply to remote medical coding positions when I'm a brand new medical coder, because it's important to be around other medical coders in the beginning, even if it's just for 3 months. Something just to be around others. Oh, I want to sneeze. Even if it's just to be around others so that you can learn. That's all I'm saying, guys. And then get a little bit of experience in a place you have to go. And then you can work at home. And trust me, you'll be a lot more set up for success working at home when you do that way. Versus just being plopped in and like, oh my gosh, now I'm so overwhelmed, right? And then the third thing that I would not do is get a bunch of credentials, because all you need is one. And especially when you're brand new, concentrate on that one. Because for some, it's hard enough to get together 36 continuing education units if you have an AAPC credential, or, you know, with a HEMA, it's all it is 20 for one credential. I'm just saying. The medical coding credentials, okay? Let's just be clear on that. All right, guys. So I'm going to wrap this one up. If this video helped you, I hope that you will like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.